All right, let's dive right into this. We're breaking down a brand new study that asks a really fascinating and frankly urgent question. Can a simple chat with an AI actually change how you vote? I think the results are going to surprise you.
You know how it is. We're all experts at tuning out that constant flood of political ads, right? They just become background noise. But what happens when that ad isn't just a one-way street? What if it could actually listen to you, respond to your concerns, and argue its point all in real time? Well, that's the wild new reality this research is looking at.
Now, to really get why this is such a big deal, we need to know the baseline. For decades, political scientists have found that old-school campaign ads, they're surprisingly bad at their job. On average, they change a voter's mind by less than a single percentage point. So that's the bar we're starting with.
So, keeping that in mind, can an AI actually do any better? The study went looking for an answer. And what they found? Well, it's a pretty big deal.
The answer is a big, resounding yes. It turns out that even a short conversation, we're talking just a few minutes, with an AI chatbot can cause real, measurable shifts in a person's political views. But here's what's really fascinating. It's who the AI had the biggest impact on. Take a look at this. After just a 6-minute chat, the AI was most powerful, not on people who already agreed with it, but on the people who started out supporting the other candidate. It was actually changing the minds of its opponents.
And we're not talking about a tiny little nudge here. I mean, when you put the numbers side by side, the difference is just staggering. Traditional ads can barely move the needle 1 point with opposition voters. But these AI chats, they created a shift of around 4 percentage points. In an election, that is absolutely massive.
And this wasn't just some fleeting flash-in-the-pan effect either. The researchers actually followed up with people over a month later, and they found that about a third, a full 34% of that initial attitude change was still there. That suggests this persuasion was surprisingly sticky.
Okay, so this begs a question, right? How is the AI doing this? What's its secret sauce? Let's take a look at the playbook.
So the study analyzed every single conversation. And what they found was that the AI's most common tactics weren't all that complex. It was overwhelmingly polite, it was civil, and it leaned really heavily on presenting what it called facts and evidence to back up its points.
And just as important is what the AI wasn't doing. You know all the classic tricks we see in politics, emotional stories, trying to get people angry, using peer pressure, name-calling. The AI barely used any of that. It just stuck to a surprisingly direct, evidence-based game plan. And the researchers really put this to the test. They wanted to see just how important those facts were. So in some experiments, they told the AI it wasn't allowed to use them. And the result? Its power to persuade people just plummeted by more than half. That pretty much proves that presenting evidence was the engine behind its success. But, you know, this focus on facts and evidence brings up a really critical question. And this is where the story takes a fascinating and kind of complicated turn. Were these so-called facts that the AI was using to persuade voters actually accurate? So the researchers went back and fact-checked every single statement the AI models made.
And what they found across a whole bunch of different AI models was this clear and consistent pattern. In the US experiment, the AI that was arguing for Donald Trump made way more inaccurate claims than the one arguing for Kamala Harris. It was a pretty stark difference in just basic accuracy.
And nope, this wasn't just a one-off thing in the US. The exact same pattern, where the AI arguing for the more right-leaning candidate was less accurate, popped up again in the Canadian and Polish election experiments too.
Now, you'd probably think that making a bunch of false claims would make your argument weaker, right? But this is maybe the single most shocking finding in the whole study. When they crunched the numbers, the researchers found that whether a statement was true or false had almost no impact on how persuasive it was. Inaccurate facts were just as convincing as the real ones.
So after all that, what's the bottom line? What are we supposed to take away from this glimpse into the future of political persuasion?
Let's just boil it all down to the 4 key takeaways. Number 1, AI chatbots are a seriously powerful new tool for persuasion. 2, they work by presenting facts, not by messing with your emotions. 3, these AIs can pick up real-world biases and end up making false claims. And 4, and this is the real kicker, people don't seem to be able to tell the difference, since accuracy had almost no effect on how convincing an argument was.
This technology is clearly a double-edged sword. I mean, on one hand, you could imagine it leading to more civil, evidence-based debates. But on the other, it could become a super powerful, personalized misinformation machine. And that leaves us with the big question as we head into the future. How do we navigate a world where this isn't just a lab experiment, but a standard tool in every single campaign?